Hello, everyone. So, this is another week, and I'm going to talk to you again about the childbirth trends and tips for 2025. In actuality, it doesn't matter when you're talking about childbirth. It's always occurred throughout human history. It will always occur throughout human history. And the fact is that the tips and trends are pretty much the same from our viewpoint, although you may have other tips and trends that deal with other aspects of childbirth, such as your birth plan and what you want, who you want around with you. But Birthing Better Families and I, since the 70s, have only talked about one thing, and that is about having skills to do the activity of giving birth. Because the reality is 100% of pregnant women are going to give birth one way or another. It's unavoidable. It can be a termination, it can be a miscarriage, it can be an early birth, it can be a cesarean, a home alone birth, any birth, because every pregnant woman is going to do the activity of birthing her baby. And the important thing to really know is that the birth of every baby is important to every family. And that's why Birthing Better Families developed the extensive range of skills, because their baby's birth was important to them. And yes, we know that there are different types of birth, which I've talked about in the description, but every woman is going to have to do the activity of birthing her baby. But what does the word do mean? And this is where we want to change the societal message around childbirth. When I gave birth in 1970 in the United States, the doing birth was associated to everybody taking Lamaze classes or Bradley classes, and then using breathing and relaxation skills, both as the birthing woman and as her birth coach, who helped her cope and manage and stay in control. But the doing of birth by 1982, when I gave birth last, was no longer skills. Cows and cats aren't taught to birth, so women don't need to. We just know how. But the doing of birth was about making a birth plan, where we wanted to birth, who we wanted to have with us. And fathers coaching was told, no, 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 no. Men shouldn't tell women what to do. They should just support women's choices. But we need a new message, because childbirth has not gotten better. In fact, the rise of trauma after birth syndrome just shot up when skills were dismissed, actively dismissed in the late 70s, and birth plans, knowing what kind of birth you want and choosing it, became popular. And then women focused on, I didn't get the birth that I wanted. So we have to have a new message. So this is the message. And in order to change society, we all need to repeat the message. It's as simple as that, which is 100% of pregnant women are going to give birth. And it's an activity. Every human activity is best done with skills. So self-learn some birth and birth coaching skills, not necessarily birthing better. There are a lot of skills-based methods now that you can choose from, but choose to become skilled to do the activity of birthing your baby. Because as the description shows, you don't know what kind of birth you're going to actually have. There's a global childbirth concept. You never know what your birth is going to be like. And that's often followed with, and therefore there's nothing you can really do to prepare for it. However, there is learn skills, because birth is an activity you're going to have to do. You're going to have to breathe in and breathe out. Your body is going to be in some posture or some position. Your head's going to be thinking things. If you have people around you, you can communicate with them or communicate with your own head. So those are just some of the simple skills. Birthing Better Families developed more extensive skills, because we were trying to answer the questions, what about, what if, what could we have done? And they can be really simple, nitpicky skills, like, what do you do with a niggling labor? The medical profession wants to induce you. The natural birth movement says walk, have sex, nipple stimulation, take castor oil. But what we found was those were both inductions, and women got tired. So we had to develop a skill in which women didn't get tired. And thankfully, we had the messages of hundreds of women after their second birth who told us what to do, which was, My first birth, as soon as I had a contraction, I really got into my labor. Whereas my second birth, I just went about my business until labor really picked up and I had a much better birth. So we developed a simple skill about niggling labor, which is to ask yourself or have someone else ask you, what do you want to do now? Because if the labor is not progressing, do something, get on with life. Now, a lot of women's response to that is, I just want my labor to start. I just want it to pick up. I don't know what I want to do. That's not an answer. The answer is, what do you want to do now? Oh, okay, I'll go for a walk. Fine, let's go for a walk. If the labor hasn't picked up after the walk, what do you want to do now? That's a tip. That's what you need to understand. If your labor is not progressing, get on with your life. And how do you know your labor is progressing? To be honest with you, most women do know. The labor contractions get stronger, longer, and closer together within an hour or two. You can feel that. And when that isn't happening, you have to ask yourself or have your loved one ask you, what do you want to do now? Because what we found was when we used that simple skill for that simple issue, that women actually got on with life, and when labor picked up, they felt rested rather than tired. So we want you to know, as Birthing Better Families, we develop these skills for every birth. Every birth. Why? Once again, the birth of our baby is important to us. So we need to grow a self-learning, skilled birthing population who understands that the birth of our baby is important to us, and each of us is going to do the activity of birthing our baby. Now, there are many people who said to us, you can't have a natural birth in the hospital, or a cesarean's not a real birth. And you're thinking, wow, women, hush up. Really, stop it. Okay? The birth of every baby is important to that family. It's as simple as that. And each woman is going to do the activity of birthing her baby. So let's take a non-laboring cesarean. A lot of people have them. They either have them by choice or they have them because the medical profession feels that's the best thing to do, or some reason comes up that says have a non-laboring cesarean. So what do families like that do with our Birthing Better skills? They prepare for the birth of their baby. Their baby's birth is important to them, and they enjoy the intimacy of learning skills together. It's an important time. You have to do the activity of birthing your baby. And by working together with a set of shared skills, you feel good. You feel confident. And after your baby is born, you have a habit of working together with skills that you now bring into parenting. It's a huge benefit of being skilled when you work through the activity of birthing your baby together. So it was really a shock in the late 70s when the natural birth movement and famous authors were saying men shouldn't coach in birth. That was curious. Yes, it's caused the rise of the doula, but the doula is not a member of your family. Your partner, your loved one is, and they should be skilled. Because if you're skilled together to work through the activity of birthing your baby, you'll have more confidence in working together when you're parents. And that's good. It's very good. So if you're going to have a non-laboring cesarean, enjoy learning the skills. There's none of the Birthing Better skills that you can't learn. And then on the way to your hospital, that's your labor. That can take 20 minutes. That can take 3 hours. Just use your skills. And which skills? Well, of course, we think of breathing, relaxation, communication to yourself and to the others. The birth of a baby is infrequent. It's a one-off. It can't be replayed. And the memory of your birth story lasts a lifetime. So if you fill that birth activity by using breathing, relaxation, touch skills, communication skills, if with Birthing Better you prepared your body for birth and you feel confident and you're working together, that's going to be your birth story. If you don't learn skills, you feel overwhelmed, you feel isolated, alone, and you feel angry with what they did or didn't do around you, that's going to be your birth story. So we want to grow a self-learning, skilled birthing population. And it's on you to spread the word of that to your friends. And there are lots of skills-based methods. So birthing better doesn't have to be your first or ever choice. It's just one of the skills-based methods. So if you're having a planned cesarean, when you arrive at the hospital, when you get prepped, that's your transition. It's exciting, it's unnerving, it's unsettling, it's different. You're in a new environment. There's no way to know what your birth is going to be like. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. You can use relaxation, touch, communication skills to stay connected with your baby's birth. What's happening to around you is temporary. Your baby's birth is the biggest activity in the room. So if you do it with skills, you are going to feel more connected to the process rather than let it happen to you. During surgery, that's your baby's birth. Use skills. Just use skills and work together. Birthing Better families just loved using skills because they had something to do. And something to do is good, because doing things, when you're doing an activity and you do that activity with skills, you feel better, you birth better than if birth just happens to you and you just get dragged along into the mire of this unknown. We feel disconnected, and it's much harder to move into parenting if you have had a disconnected birth. We all know that because I have 50 years of experience having talked to tens and thousands of families. We know that. It is now time. So I want you to repeat with me what the message is. 100% of pregnant women are going to give birth. It's an activity each of us does. And that activity is best done if we've learned and used birth and birth coaching skills. Is it important to have a birth coach work with us who's a member of our family? It's preferential because they're going to be part of the family after the birth. One of the things that happened in Lamaze was that we had demanded fathers be with us. We didn't want to be alone to discover birth by ourselves anymore. We had been doing that since the dawn of mankind. When we had a skilled partner, they could see and hear when we needed help. With Lamaze, they had simple skills, but they could help. And we felt proud of ourselves as families of being able to work together through our baby's birth. And we felt good as parents. When that changed in the late 70s and 80s and skills were dismissed, fathers were put out to pasture, and doulas arose, women were grateful for doulas without a doubt. However, that person who's going to be raising that child with you, they feel more left out. And you don't feel as confident about them. And there's no reason to have that experience because a man, a father, a relative, or a friend can be a wonderful birth coach when they learn the birth coaching skills associated to birthing skills that you're using. In other words, you want to have the same set of skills, but used from your viewpoint as a birthing woman and from their viewpoint as a person who sees and hears you. So what do they see and hear? Well, they see your face and they hear the tone in your voice. So when you're breathing, if you're breathing like this, they don't know what's going on in your head, but they can see and hear that you're fairly relaxed. Even if your head is saying, I hate this, you are using skills to cope and manage. If you go from to, and it can happen right away with labor contractions or something that happens to you in a surgical birth, they can hear and see that. And then they can model, and you want to follow them because we as women want to stay in control. We want to cope. We want to manage. We want to work through. We want to deal with. We want to handle. We want to stay on top of. and we want to feel in control. It's this dynamic, one-off, can't be replayed, life-transforming activity unfolds that we are doing. So repeat after me again what we're all going to start to say to everybody we know. 100% of pregnant women are going to give birth. It's an activity we're all doing. We all need to learn some skills, birth and birth coaching skills, so that we can work through the activity of birthing our baby, no matter what kind of birth unfolds for us, no matter our beliefs, no matter our choices, the change of choices or the lack of choices, no matter who's with us or where we are, and no matter the circumstances around the birth or what happens to us around us. Do you think that birthing better families who have had terrible births stop using their skills? No, they don't. They keep using them because they are doing the activity, and the things that are happening to or around them are not the same as what they are doing on a moment-to-moment basis. So we can grow a self-learning skilled birthing population, but we need all of our voices out there. So I'll see you again next week for more trends and tips of childbirth. See you later.